Every Jedi who survived Order 66. Yoda. The ancient Jedi grandmaster was in the middle of the Battle of Kashyyyk when Order 66 went down. Unlike most Jedi who got caught completely off guard, Yoda straight up felt the disturbance in the Force as thousands of his Jedi brothers and sisters were being gunned down across the galaxy. When Clone Commander Gree and another trooper tried to sneak up behind him, Yoda didn't even flinch. Dude backflipped over them and beheaded both clones with a single lightsaber swing. Chapter 3 shows the tiny green powerhouse escaping with Chewbacca and Tarful help, proving size truly doesn't matter. Yoda's post-Order 66 power was unmatched. He infiltrated the Jedi Temple, confronted Darth Sidious directly, and even held his own against the galaxy's most powerful Sith Lord. After fighting to a stalemate, he went to Dagobah where he'd chill for the next 2 decades. What I find crazy is Yoda's final win, becoming the first Jedi we see transform into a Force ghost, a technique he learned from Qui-Gon Jinn. Man literally chose to die on his own terms at 900 years old, becoming more powerful than the Empire could possibly imagine. Speaking of Jedi Masters who outplayed the Empire, Obi-Wan's escape from Order 66 might be the most legendary of them all. Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan had just murdered General Grievous on Utapau when Commander Cody got the call. Minutes earlier, Cody had handed Kenobi back his dropped lightsaber with a friendly chat, then ordered an ATTE to blast him off a cliff. Kenobi survived the massive fall and somehow managed to escape an entire planet on lockdown. In Chapter 3, we see him returning to Coruscant instead of running. I found the move to be insane considering the planet was crawling with clones and the newly minted Darth Vader. After discovering Anakin's betrayal through security recordings, Obi-Wan infiltrated Padme's ship to confront his fallen apprentice on Mustafar. The resulting duel is one for the books. Kenobi took Anakin's remaining limbs and left him burning on a lava bank. Cold-blooded. For the next 19 years, Kenobi lived as Crazy Old Ben on Tatooine, keeping watch over Luke while learning Force Ghost techniques from Qui-Gon. In their final confrontation on the Death Star, Obi-Wan saw Luke watching and intentionally lowered his defense, becoming one with the Force to serve as Luke's spiritual guide. Ahsoka Tano. She might have left the Jedi Order after 6 framed for bombing the temple, but Ahsoka remained the coldest Order 66 survivor. While transporting a captured Darth Maul back to Coruscant, the Order came through to her clone commander, Rex. Rex actually fought against his programming for a moment, telling Ahsoka to find 5s before the chip took over. The Clone Wars finale shows Ahsoka using her dual lightsabers to cut through a wall while dodging blaster fire. She then performs brain surgery on Rex to remove his chip while the ship was falling apart. The super smart move came next. Ahsoka and Rex staged their own deaths by burying fallen clone troopers with her lightsabers as markers. After years in hiding, she emerged as Fulcrum, running a spy network for the early rebellion and eventually confronting her former master turned Sith Lord. Her survival story takes an interesting turn when she technically dies fighting Vader in Rebels, only for Ezra Bridger to pull her through a portal in the world between worlds, creating a time paradox that saved her life. By the Mandalorian era, she's hunting down Grand Admiral Thrawn and eventually gets stranded on Peridea with Sabine Wren. While Ahsoka had years of training under Anakin Skywalker before Order 66, some survivors like our next character were just Padawans thrown into a fight for survival. Cal Kestis. Cal was just a Padawan with a fresh buzz cut when Order 66 hit. His master, Jaro Tapal, felt the betrayal through the Force and fought hard the clone troopers to get Cal to an escape pod. With his dying breath, Tapal handed Cal his lightsaber, the same one Cal would eventually rebuild 5 years later. The escape pod crash-landed on Braca, where Cal suppressed his connection to the Force and blended in as a starship scrapper. What sets Cal apart is his rare ability of touching things to see their past. He can touch objects and see their past, experiencing memories associated with them. After the second sister discovered him using the Force to save his friend from falling, Cal reconnected with the Force under former Jedi Knight Cere Junda. In Fallen Order, he tracked down a Jedi holocron containing a list of Force-sensitive children, only to destroy it to keep them safe from the Empire. Cal's journey continued in Survivor, where he battled against the Imperial Inquisitors while helping the Hidden Path Resistance Network. His most important move came when he discovered Tanalorr, a secret planet outside Imperial control, and decided to make it a sanctuary for those fleeing the Empire. Cere Junda. I can authoritatively say that Cere's post-Order 66 journey is hands down one of the darkest in Star Wars lore. After After escaping the initial purge with her Padawan Trilla Suduri and a group of younglings, the Empire betrayed, arrested, and tortured them. Under the Imperial torture, Cere broke. She revealed the location of the younglings, leading to their capture. The betrayal turned Trilla to the dark side, transforming her into the second sister Inquisitor. In a moment of pure rage, Cere tapped into the dark side and killed everyone in the room except Trilla before making her escape. The trauma was so severe that Cere cut herself off from the Force completely, afraid of falling deeper into darkness. It wasn't until meeting Cal Kestis that she began to confront her past, eventually reconnecting with the Force to help Cal defeat the ninth sister on Kashyyyk. Cere's redemption arc is peak storytelling. She briefly reconciled with Trilla before Vader cut her former Padawan down. Cere led the Hidden Path Resistance until her final confrontation with Vader on Jedha, where she sacrificed herself to save Cal and the others. Elite Jedi behavior until the very end. Quinlan Vos. Vos was the ideal definition of a rebellious Jedi. With his yellow face tattoos and unusual methods, Quinlan specialized in undercover operations and had intuition abilities like Cal Kestis, whereas he was originally supposed to die on Kashyyyk in a deleted scene from Revenge of the Sith. The Obi-Wan Kenobi series confirmed he survived. The Path safe house on Mapuzo had his name carved into the wall, with Kenobi mentioning how Quinlan was here and helped smuggle younglings from the temple. As the original infiltrator, it makes perfect sense he'd continue operating in the shadows after Order 66. The Dark Disciple novel showed Vos forming a relationship with Asajj Ventress while on a mission to assassinate Count Dooku. When Ventress seemingly died saving him from the dark side, Vos returned to the light, though Season 3 of Bad Batch revealed Ventress actually survived, opening the door for a potential reunion. What I find interesting about Quinlan is how he operated in moral gray areas even before Order 66. Although most Jedi were rigid in their ideals, Vos was willing to bend the rules and get his hands dirty when necessary, skills that likely saved his life when the purge happened. Grogu. The 50-year-old toddler with Force powers that break the scale was a youngling at the Jedi Temple when Order 66 went down. The Mandalorian Season 3 finally showed us how this little green dude escaped. Jedi Master Kelleran Beck, this sabered hand, did his thing with dual lightsabers, cutting through the 501st Legion to get Grogu to safety. Using his mind-moving abilities to push away clone troopers while Beck fought off others, Grogu was loaded onto a Naboo cruiser that blasted off Coruscant. What happened to Beck afterward is still a mystery, but somehow Grogu remained hidden for the next 25 years. The Empire hunted Grogu specifically because of his insane midi-chlorian count. Moff Gideon wanted his blood for some shady experiments, possibly connected to Palpatine's cloning program. After briefly training with Luke Skywalker, Grogu chose attachment over the Jedi way, returning to his space dad, Din Djarin. The fact that a literal baby survived when full-grown Jedi Masters got smoked speaks to both his importance in the Force and the elite skills of Master Beck, not to mention Grogu's own abilities, which include Force choking, healing, and protecting himself with a Force barrier. Grogu wasn't the only youngling to escape certain death. Another Padawan named Caleb Dume would transform his trauma into a new identity. Kanan Jarrus. Born Caleb Dume, Kanan was the Padawan of Jedi Master Depa Billaba. As clone troopers surrounded them, Billaba ordered him to run while she held them off, her sacrifice buying him just enough time to escape into the woods of Kalar. The Bad Batch showed Caleb getting help from Clone Force 99, whose genetic changes made them resistant to the control chip programming. After fleeing, he spent years hiding his Force abilities, changed his name to Kanan Jarrus, and picked up a blaster instead of his lightsaber. For 14 years, Kanan lived as a smuggler and freighter pilot until meeting Hera Syndulla and joining the Ghost Crew. When Ezra Bridger entered the picture, Kanan reluctantly became a Jedi again, training the young Force sensitive despite his own incomplete training. Kanan's journey peaked when he was blinded by Maul but learned to see through the Force. It was a whole new level of connection that made him even stronger. In the ultimate selfless act, he sacrificed himself to save Hera and their unborn son from a massive explosion, using the Force to hold back the flames long enough for them to escape. Moving on swiftly, some Jedi broke under Imperial torture and became the very hunters sent to exterminate their former brothers and sisters. The Inquisitorius. Not all Jedi who escaped in the tale kept it real with the light side. The Inquisitorius was Palpatine and Vader's personal Jedi hunting squad, former Jedi broken through torture and turned to the dark side. The Grand Inquisitor used to be a Jedi Temple guard who got sick of the Order's hypocrisy after Barriss Offee's trial. After falling to the dark side, Vader personally trained him to hunt down his former brothers and sisters. Second sister, aka Trilla Suduri, was Cere Junda's Padawan who turned after Imperial torture. Ninth sister was a massive Doatan Jedi Jedi who also broke under torture. Fifth brother and seventh sister were former Jedi whose original identities remain unknown. The most mind-blowing revelation came from Tales of the Empire, which confirmed Barriss Offee survived Order 66 and briefly became an Inquisitor before fleeing the program. Fourth sister, Orlin Rakish, was actually a former Jedi Master who recruited Barriss. Tragically, every single Inquisitor was defeated eventually, the Grand Inquisitor by his own lightsaber, Trilla by Vader's blade, and most others by either surviving Jedi or Darth Vader himself when they failed him one too many times. Even in victory, the Empire lost. Taron Malicos. The story of Taron is exactly what happens when a Jedi fighter completely loses the plot. Taron Malicos was a respected Jedi general during the Clone Wars. After crash landing on Dathomir, home of the Night Sisters, he embraced the dark side instead of hiding from it. Unlike the Inquisitors, who were tortured into serving the dark side, Malicos chose it willingly. He manipulated the last surviving Night Sister, Marine, by falsely claiming the Jedi were responsible for the massacre of her people, convincing her to teach him Night Sister magic. When Cal Kestis arrived on Dathomir in Fallen Order, Malicos tried to recruit him as an apprentice with some serious "join me and we can rule together" vibes. After Cal refused the order, they fought in an epic duel until Marine, now aware of Malicos' deception, used her magic to literally trap him alive in the planet's stone. Other notable survivors: Jocasta Nu, the Jedi librarian who once dissed Obi-Wan with "if it's not in our archives, it doesn't exist," survived initially and returned to the temple to grab a holocron containing locations of Force-sensitive children. She planned to restart the Jedi Order, but got killed by Vader after exposing his true identity to nearby stormtroopers. Luminara Unduli survived the initial purge, but was taken and executed shortly after. The Empire kept her corpse on ice at the Spire prison as bait to lure other Jedi into traps. Cold strategy that almost worked on Kanan and Ezra. Nari was a Jedi who managed to endure for 10 years before finding Obi-Wan on Tatooine. Despite Kenobi's warnings to bury his lightsaber and forget the past, Nari got caught and killed by the third sister. Classic case of not knowing when to quit. Farron Barr, a Padawan survivor, hacked into security recordings and discovered Vader's identity. He used events on Mon Cala to spark a rebellion against the Empire, even using Order 66 against a squad of clones before getting sliced by Vader. Oppo Rancisis and Coleman Kodge, both former council members with Rancisis rocking that epic beard till combo, survived according to Imperial records shown in the Darth Vader comics. Their ultimate fates are still unknown, but making it onto the Empire's hit list is an achievement in itself.